To diet or not to diet? That is the question today. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back to Alumni Wednesdays with Wilfred. I'm your host, Wilfred Samking, a proud University of Manitoba alumni. And this week, we have the opportunity and privilege to sit down with nutritional entrepreneur Rianna Tonn. And Rianna, thank you so much for joining us today. And let's just get right into it. New year, new me. You know how it all goes on social media and with your friends and family. As a nutritionist and dietitian, what impacts does your business and your life have when the new year comes around?
Yeah, great question. I feel like this is a pretty popular time of year for people to take on new challenges and to reach out and try new things. So my plate does usually fill up around this time of year, and this year is no different. So it's been really fun. I feel like some of that is self-imposed with myself taking on new projects that just sort of happen to start in the new year. But I've also had a lot more clients, I feel like, interacting and reaching out as this new year has kind of rolled around. And I've also made myself available for that support, knowing sort of that trend that the new year usually follows.
How did you first decide that's the path you wanted?
Well, I grew up in a small town in Manitoba. So I grew up on a farm. It sort of just like felt natural to go through that path. And I'd always been interested in nutrition growing up from like a young age. My mom was a cook in a long-term care home. So it was like I was always around food. So it just sort of felt natural. And with the program being in agriculture and food sciences, for me starting out, it just sort of felt more comfortable because those were sort of my people when I started out. And then as I kind of went through my last year of high school, I really sort of nailed down, I think this is what I want to do, so let's just go for it. And then I ended up really enjoying the courses in the first year, and I like the science aspect. I was always pretty interested in that. You know, you're sometimes still figuring things out and you're like, is this the right path for me? And I think that really helped solidify it, was being right on campus with the people who are also going through it with me.
And I guess, you know, in true residence culture, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to give your former residents a shout out, because I know that's really big for residents. Which residence did you stay in?
I was in University College and I was on the floor. Yeah, so it was fun. It was really great. I loved it.
Let's pivot a little bit and let's talk about your day-to-day. What are the most common questions that are coming up now that folks have to stay at home?
Yeah, so I feel like those are big questions right now is, yeah, like how do I sort of prepare myself to be at home all the time? And I specialize more in improving relationships with food. So a lot of people are really feeling the effects of being at home more. Their day-to-day life has really shifted, and it's not a comfortable place to be in. And so I feel like a lot of the questions are more around just like support. So how do I maintain sort of this like regular schedule when my schedule isn't regular anymore? Because that can really affect how we eat and what we eat and how we feel about that when we're just at home with our food all the time. So I feel like the questions have shifted a little bit from the beginning, where it was more definitely about like, how do I maybe like meal plan and how do I do this stuff, to now when people are just like feeling the effects of it being drawn out. It's a little bit more like, now, how do I just like find some normalcy? How can I best support myself to feel good about my food choices and stuff right now? So I've seen that shift a little bit from like, okay, this is great, this is new, how do I like meal prep? How do I do all this stuff? To now shifting of like, I'm sick of it now. How do I continue? And like, where can I find support?
The point that you brought up, people asking what their relationship with food is interesting, because I'm not sure how many people see it that way. It's very transactional for most people, but as a nutritional professional, is there more education around the subject matter now, or is it just a different way to market things that aren't really nutritional?
I would say there's just a lot more information out there, not necessarily that it is informed or that it is evidence-based. I think that there's just a ton of information being put out there with the internet, with social media, with all these different sort of outlets. I think that is both good, but it also can be not good in a lot of ways, sort of depending on where you're at on either part of the spectrum. So if you're really like if you are really gung-ho about nutrition and you want all this information and you go and find it, if you're getting your source from something that's not super reliable and then you try this crazy diet or these crazy products,
Yeah.
that's not great. But if you're going onto the internet and you're finding dietitians like myself on Instagram or TikTok or on the internet or whatever, and you're actually getting reliable information, that's great. So I think that more people stepping into the space who are evidence-based and actually qualified to give that information is definitely up and coming, and I feel like that's a great way to be moving as well.
So what you're telling me is Wikipedia doesn't know everything.
No, not everything, that's for sure.
So with all these nutritional fads that are going on right now, where would an average person who thinks that's healthy but is not sure find more information about how to navigate the waters between marketing and truth, I guess you could say?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would always recommend talking to a dietitian. So a dietitian, like a registered dietitian, so not even really a nutritionist, who is different from a dietitian, but going to a dietitian, so a reliable source of information, and just shooting them a question. I'm totally open to people asking me questions like that on Instagram through my DMs or through email or something like that. And I like to think that most dietitians are fairly friendly and open to that. And if you just have a quick question, you're like, hey, I wanted to try out this new burger. I heard it's like a million times better than a regular beef burger, just like some exaggerated truth. What do you think about that? And then we might give you, our thoughts on it. Versus just going to, say, the company's website, which is obviously going to be biased towards the product. So getting that reliable information and just having, a good conversation about it too. Like, it can always just be fun to chat with someone who might have a different perspective than you, but might also just be able to support you in whatever you want to learn.
And for you, what do you think I guess, give me your top 3 or top 5 biggest fallacies or misinformation that's out there right now?
So one that I like to target often is that you can't eat in the evening. So that is like the most untrue thing I've ever heard, unless you have like maybe severe like you know reflux or acid reflux or something like that, where if you lay down you get it really bad. Sometimes in certain cases that's more reasonable, but I would say that there's no evidence to show that eating at night is bad for you or that it will cause weight gain, which is a pretty big concern with that topic. Eating at night can be super functional, and I'm a huge fan of snacks, so like feel free to do it. I would say possibly another one is that going on a diet is going to be better for your health. A lot of diets haven't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of diets haven't actually been proven to be better for your health unless it's maybe like a medically necessary one that you've talked through with your dietitian and your doctor for a certain health condition. But just in general, diets have actually been shown to be worse for your health in the long run. So just seeing a dietitian and figuring out a personalized, individualized plan is a much better bet than just taking a generic diet and running with it.
And it's great to speak to you and get the facts out and kind of remove the fallacies and the marketing gimmicks away from everything. So to conclude, we're going to do a rapid fire, and then I'll have my final question, which is the one I always ask. First one is beyond or beef?
Personally, beef.
Milk or water?
I love water. Water.
Chocolate or candy?
Chocolate.
Strawberries or raspberries?
Raspberries.
Apples or oranges?
Apples.
Fish or pork?
Fish.
Supplements or food?
Food.
Last one, junk food or fast food? I know they're very similar, but
I would probably, oh, that's a tough one. Oh man, I don't know, because I like both. I would say probably junk food. I love snack food. I really do. I call it snack food. I love snack food.
knowing everything that you know now, what is advice that you would give
Yeah.
Rianna from Plumas, Manitoba? Just graduated from high school and is now entering the University of Manitoba in 2021.
I would say to, work hard, but also, take time to enjoy the experience. Because I know that in knowing myself, I know that's something that I would have loved to have heard, that it is okay to enjoy the experience and take time to just take a break. You're going to get there. It is going to be okay. It all is going to work out.
Thank you so much, Rianna. I had a pleasure speaking to you. I'm going to go raid my kitchen now and eat junk food because you said I'm allowed to eat junk food.
You are allowed.
That's all I got from this whole segment. But thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of the entire alumni relations team at the University of Manitoba and external relations and our 148,000 alumni from across the world, thank you so much for joining us.